4.5 years after the border tensions began in May 2020, India on Monday announced it had reached an agreement with China for disengaging and restarting border patrols. Over the last several weeks, Indian and Chinese diplomatic and military negotiators have been in close contact with each other in a variety of forums. As a result of these discussions, agreement has been arrived on patrolling arrangement along the LAC on the India-China border, leading to disengagement and resolution of the issues that had risen in these areas in 2020. And we will be taking the next steps on this. Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri told reporters on Monday. Asked again, he said, "We have reached an agreement on issues that were being discussed." He was briefing the media ahead of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to BRICS meet in Russia. Sources told ThePrint that India and China have agreed to resume patrolling to the agreed perceived line of actual control, including in Depsang Plains and Dainchok, though there is unlikely to be any immediate thinning down of troops other than those who are pulled back in the winter. Sources in the defense and security establishment told ThePrint that the resumption of patrolling, which will not take place once the winter sets in, is the first step to a full-scale disengagement that both countries will continue to work on. They said that there would be a reduction of troops in the winter, as has been the practice over the last 4 years, but complete disengagement would continue to be discussed. The decisions taken will set the stage for a possible meeting between Prime Minister Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping on the sidelines of the BRICS meet in Russia's Kazan this week. The overall decision on proper disengagement and de-escalation will be based on the decisions taken in what is expected to be a bilateral meeting between the two leaders. But this is the first step towards further normalcy, is what the sources are telling ThePrint. Explaining the modalities that has been worked out, sources said that the main issue related to the Depsang Plains had been resolved. They said that Chinese troops will pull back to their earlier positions and would not be blocking Indian troops from the bottleneck area as they have been doing since 2020. A few years prior to 2020, the Chinese were stopping Indian troops from an area called Y Junction, which was ahead of the bottleneck. The Chinese will also pull down defensive posts and other structures built in that area since 2020. Asked about Dainchok, another controversial area, the sources said that ME has announced patrolling resumption in all areas. It was not immediately known if the Indian troops will now patrol to the Chardingla Pass as was done before 2020. Sources said that a tent which was set up by the Chinese since 2020 has been removed. In all other locations where disengagement was achieved earlier and buffer zones were created, that is, the northern banks of Pangong So, Galwan, Hot Springs, and Gogra, patrolling would be resumed by both sides. However, the patrolling will be done up to the agreed perceived LAC. Explaining this, the sources said that both countries have various perception of the LAC. However, there is an informal agreement on what the LAC for each side would actually be. The patrolling will happen on the agreed perceived LAC and would end about 200 to 300 meters short of it, as was the practice earlier. This is Snehesh Alex Philip for ThePrint. Do subscribe to ThePrint's YouTube channel for more such videos.